Hello! In this session, we'll be talking about how we're adding additional functionality to BigLake and support specifically for Apache Iceberg data formats. My name is Jason Davenport, and I'll be your guide here as we look at how BigLake is being extended to support the Iceberg format and work even better with BigQuery and other data products here at Google Cloud. Today, we'll cover very quickly an overview of BigLake, talk about how Iceberg fits into the BigLake story, and then we'll demonstrate these two in action together. First, to call out, as we think about silos of data, what our job here is to really break those down and enable any analytics use case, regardless of where the data is stored or how it's stored or how it needs to be computed. With BigLake and BigQuery, we've worked to unify the data plane across multiple clouds, file formats, and heterogeneous data sources and compute layers to create a unified and accessible experience for users, whether they be analysts or engineers. With BigLake, we have a structured and consistent layer that helps to unify our lakes and warehouses and uses things like a vectorized runtime for supporting query acceleration and unified governance, which allows access to this data regardless of where it lives through a unified access plane. And with that, we'd like to talk today about how we're introducing BigLake support for the Apache Iceberg file format. First, we love supporting open formats here at Google Cloud, and this is no different for our support for the Apache Iceberg file format. Now you can use the Apache Iceberg format across a number of different use cases, including things like AI and ML, and even serving this up via Analytics Hub. We'd be remiss not to announce also that now you can use Iceberg with both Spark and BigQuery workloads across a common catalog. And what this means is that we can use a unified governance layer to connect to, modify, and select this data across our data plane. With that, let's get into a demonstration and see these two in action. In this demonstration, we'll go over how you can use new Iceberg file format support within BigLake using both Spark stored procedures and then querying the data using BigLake features such as row-based security to control access to your data. Here, we're at the BigQuery homepage to start our demonstration today. First, you'll note here that I have a couple things ready for us to go, but one thing that we do want to do using the new BigLake Metastore is make sure that this is set up and ready for us to get Iceberg data into. Setting up the Metastore is as simple as running a command against our Google BigLake API. Once this is run, what we do is we create a new catalog that can be used for querying and storing our data for Iceberg-related tables. In the future, this will support a number of additional file formats upcoming. Here, you can see that we've created our catalog or our database, and we have our tables here, and we have an initial table in here with some additional information. However, what we want to do is also generate an ETL process where we can actually populate some additional Iceberg data in this catalog. So let's go ahead and come over to the BigQuery UI. Here, you can see that we've created a Spark stored procedure. And what a Spark stored procedure allows us to do is to use serverless data proc, execute Spark, and do it from the simple pleasures here using BigQuery. First, you'll notice that we created a connection using the BigQuery Spark connection type. I've given it my additional Spark parameters, so things like my new catalog that I just created, so I can connect and then build Iceberg tables. And then lastly, some jars and other properties that are required so Dataproc knows how to actually run the stored procedure. Here, you can see that my code here is just a simple PySpark statement where we're creating the namespace, we're creating our table, and then we're inserting a few records into the table that we'll be using here in a little bit. All right, so now that we have this created, I'll hop over and show you the results of what one of these looks like. You can see here that I've executed this Spark serverless stored procedure. And if I come over to the execution details, I actually get all of the logging here within the BigQuery UI. I could also go out to Log Explorer if I needed to do additional correlation. Here, we can go through, if there's any errors, we can use this for troubleshooting. But what we can see is this took about 2 minutes for all of the provisioning to happen and then our queries to execute and then essentially be done. So with that, we can see that we have our table created. And now let's hop over to see what data is in that table. And one important call out here is that when you use the BigLake metastore, any tables that you create in the metastore can be automatically registered in the BigQuery metastore as well. And this really makes it simple to use both Spark or BigQuery based on the application or data processing use case. Here, we'll come down and we'll query our Iceberg products table here that we've created. And we can see that we have 3 records that are in there. We have waffles, donuts, and a breakfast sandwich. What we do want to do is also make sure that we can provision this for additional security so users don't have to worry about not having people share data that might not be applicable to them. So what we can do is create a row access policy here. And what this will do is essentially only allow us to see where the product name is donuts. Now that we have this created, I'll go ahead and execute this select again. And you can see that indeed, the only record that we're pulling back is donuts. So in this use case, we're able to use BigLake to both query Iceberg data and then also apply RBAC type security and then performance acceleration on top. Now let's go ahead and release this policy. And then we can see if we come back and query the table again, that all of our records here have reappeared. In conclusion, using the BigLake metastore, we were able to use BigQuery to query Iceberg data, to actually process Iceberg data using Spark serverless stored procedures, and then apply things like row access policies in order to have that security on top of our Iceberg data using BigLake. These are also ways where you can do things like add additional ML use cases, use data loss prevention, or do things like share this data via Analytics Hub, all with the power of BigQuery and open source formats like Iceberg. Thanks for your time today, and we hope that you get into using this and really like this new feature. That's a wrap. Thanks everyone for attending, and please look out for our documentation and opt into our preview so that way you can see how Iceberg format along with BigLake can help support your organization. Thank you and have a great day.